Luke chapter 21. Jesus looked up and saw rich men putting their money into the money box in the house of God. He saw a poor woman whose husband had died. She put in 2 very small pieces of money. He said, "I tell you the truth, this poor woman has put in more than all of them. For they have put in a little of the money they had no need for. She is very poor and has put in all she had. She has put in what she needed for her own living." Some people were talking about the house of God. They were saying that the stones were beautiful and that many gifts had been given. Jesus said, "As for these things you see, all these stones will be thrown down. Not one will be left on another." They asked Jesus, "Teacher, when will this take place? What are we to look for to show us these things are about to happen?" He said, "Be careful that no one leads you the wrong way. For many people will come in my name. They will say, 'I am the Christ.' The time is near. Do not follow them. When you hear of wars and fighting in different places, do not be afraid. These things have to happen first, but the end is not yet." Then Jesus said to them, "Nations will have wars with other nations. Countries will fight against countries. The earth will shake and break apart in different places. There will be no food. There will be bad diseases among many people. Very special things will be seen in the sky that will make people much afraid. But before all this happens, men will take hold of you and make it very hard for you. They will give you over to the places of worship and to the prisons. They will bring you in front of kings and the leaders of the people. This will all be done to you because of me. This will be a time for you to tell about me. Do not think about what you will say ahead of time. For I will give you wisdom in what to say and I will help you say it. Those who are against you will not be able to stop you or say you are wrong. You will be handed over by your parents and your brothers and your family and your friends. They will kill some of you. All men will hate you because of me. Yet not one hair of your head will be lost. But stay true and your souls will have life. When you see armies all around Jerusalem, know that it will soon be destroyed. Those in the country of Judea must run to the mountains. Those in the city must leave at once. Those in the country must not go into the city. People will be punished in these hard days. All things will happen as it is written. It will be hard for women who will soon be mothers. It will be hard for those feeding babies in those days. It will be very hard for the people in the land and anger will be brought down on them. People will be killed by the sword. They will be held in prison by all nations. Jerusalem will be walked over by the people who are not Jews until their time is finished. There will be special things to look for in the sun and moon and stars. The nations of the earth will be troubled and will not know what to do. They will be troubled at the angry sea and waves. The hearts of men will give up because of being afraid of what is coming on the earth. The powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with power and much greatness. When these things begin to happen, lift up your heads because you have been bought by the blood of Christ and will soon be free. Jesus told them a picture story. He said, "Look at the fig tree and all the other trees. When you see their leaves coming out, you know summer is near. In the same way, when you see these things happening, you will know the holy nation of God is near. For sure, I tell you, that the people of this day will not die before all these things happen. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Watch yourselves. Do not let yourselves be loaded down with too much eating and strong drink. Do not be troubled with the cares of this life. If you do, that day will come on you without you knowing it. It will come on all people over all the earth. Be sure you watch. Pray all the time so that you may be able to keep from going through all these things that will happen and be able to stand before the Son of Man." Every day Jesus taught in the house of God. At night he went to the Mount of Olives and stayed there. Early in the morning all the people came to the house of God to hear him. Luke chapter 22. The time for the supper of bread without yeast was near. It was the special religious gathering to remember how the Jews left Egypt. The religious leaders and the teachers of the law looked for a way to kill Jesus. But they were afraid of the people. Then Satan came into the heart of Judas, who was called Iscariot. He was one of the 12 followers. Judas went away and talked with the religious leaders and the leaders of the people. He talked about how he might hand Jesus over to them. They were glad and promised to pay him money. Judas promised to do this and then looked for a way to hand Jesus over when there were no people around. The day of bread without yeast came. It was the day when the lamb had to be killed and given on the altar in worship in the house of God. It was the special religious gathering to remember how the Jews left Egypt. Jesus sent Peter and John and said, "Go and get this special supper ready for us that we may eat." They said to him, "Where do you want us to get it ready?" He answered, "See, when you go into the city, you will meet a man carrying a jar of water. Follow him into the house where he goes. Say to the owner of the house, 'The teacher asks you, where is the room you keep for friends where I may eat this special supper with my followers?' He will take you to a large room on the second floor with everything in it. Make it ready for us." They went and found everything as Jesus had said. They got ready for the special supper. When the time came, Jesus sat down with the 12 followers. He said to them, "I have wanted very much to eat this special supper with you to remember how the Jews left Egypt. I have wanted to eat this with you before I suffer. I say to you, I will not eat this special supper again until its true meaning is completed in the holy nation of God." Then Jesus took the cup and gave thanks. He said, "Take this and pass it to each one. I say to you that I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until the holy nation of God comes." Then Jesus took bread and gave thanks and broke it in pieces. He gave it to them, saying, "This is my body which is given for you. Do this to remember me." In the same way, after they had finished the bread, he took the cup. He said, "This cup is my blood of the new way of worship which is given for you. See, the hand of the one who will give me over to the leaders of the country is on the table with me. The Son of Man will be taken this way because it has been in God's plan. But it is bad for that man who hands him over." They began to ask each other which of them would do this. They started to argue among themselves about who was thought to be the greatest. Jesus said to them, "The kings of the nations show their power to the people. Those who have power over the people are given names of honor. But you will not be like that. Let the greatest among you be as the least. Let the leader be as the one who cares for others. Who is greater, the one who is eating at the table, or the one who is caring for him? Is it not the one who is eating at the table? But I am here with you as one who cares for you. You have stayed with me through all the hard things that have come to me. As my Father has given me a holy nation, I will give you the right to eat and drink at my table in my holy nation. You will sit on thrones and judge the 12 family groups of the Jewish nation." The Lord said, "Simon, Simon, listen. Satan has wanted to have you. He will divide you as wheat is divided from that which is no good. But I have prayed for you. I have prayed that your faith will be strong and that you will not give up. When you return, you must help to make your brothers strong." Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, I am ready to go to prison and to die with you." Jesus said, "I tell you, Peter, a rooster will not crow today before you will say 3 times that you do not know me." Jesus said to them, "I sent you without money or bag or shoes. Did you need anything?" They said, "Nothing." Then he said to them, "But now whoever has a money bag and a bag for food should take it. Whoever does not have a sword should sell his coat and buy one. I tell you, that what has been written about me must happen." It says, "They thought of him as one who broke the law. What is told about me must happen." They said, "Lord, look, we have 2 swords." He answered, "That is enough." Jesus came out of the room. Then he went to the Mount of Olives as he had been doing. The followers went with him. When he got there, he said to them, "Pray that you will not be tempted." He walked away from them about as far as a stone can be thrown. There he got down with his face on the ground and prayed. He said, "Father, if it can be done, take away what must happen to me. Even so, not what I want, but what you want." An angel from heaven came and gave him strength. His heart was much troubled and he prayed all the more. Water ran from his face like blood and fell to the ground. When Jesus got up after praying, he went back to the followers. He found them sleeping because of so much sorrow. He said to them, "Why are you sleeping? Get up and pray that you will not be tempted." While Jesus was speaking, Judas came walking ahead of many people. He was one of the 12 followers. He came near to Jesus to kiss him. But Jesus said to him, "Judas, are you handing over the Son of Man with a kiss?" Those around Jesus saw what was going to happen and asked, "Lord, should we fight with our swords?" One of them hit a servant who was owned by the head religious leader and cut off his right ear. Jesus said, "Stop. This is enough." And he put his hand on his ear and healed him. Jesus said to the religious leaders and the leaders of the house of God and the other leaders who came to him, "Have you come with swords and sticks to take me, as if I were a robber? While I was with you every day in the house of God, you never took hold of me. But now is the time you are to come and you have come in the dark." Then they led Jesus away to the house of the head religious leader. Peter followed a long way behind him. They built a fire in the yard and sat down. Peter sat down with them. One of the servant girls saw Peter as he sat by the fire and looked right at him. She said, "This man was with Jesus also." Peter lied and said, "Woman, I do not know him." After a while another person saw him and said, "You are one of them also." Peter said, "No, sir, I am not." About an hour later another person said the same thing, "For sure, this man was with Jesus also because he is from Galilee." But Peter said, "Sir, I do not know what you are saying." And at once, while he was talking, a rooster crowed. The Lord turned and looked at Peter. He remembered the Lord had said, "Before a rooster crows, you will say 3 times that you do not know me." Peter went outside and cried with a troubled heart. Those who watched Jesus so he could not get away made fun of him and beat him. They covered his eyes with a cloth and asked him, "Tell us who hit you." They said many other bad things against Jesus. When it was morning the leaders of the people and the religious leaders and the teachers of the law got together. They took Jesus to the court of the religious leader. They said, "Tell us if you are the Christ." He said to them, "If I tell you, you will not believe me. If I ask you something, you will not tell me. From now on, the Son of Man will be seated at the right hand of the all-powerful God." They all said, "Then are you the Son of God?" He said, "You say that I am." Then they said, "What other word do we need against him? We have heard him say this with his own mouth."